anymore. I do not know what Ficta reset out of. I looked away way too fast there. Double Down, meanwhile, is heading into the Phoenix Cave, which is another one of Locke's gated checks here. Must have been a monster in a box that he didn't actually want to take. That's another ice shield there in the Phoenix Cave, so we have some pretty good equipment to start off here. Nobody War forgetting that we don't have Celeste, so Celeste is the one with the prisoner in the cell there. So yeah, hopefully everybody can hear me talking. Yeah, so there's a concept in Worlds Collide called character gating, where basically the characters that you have dictate the world events that you can do. And in this particular set of options, we start with 3 characters. We started with Locke, and with Strago, and with Cyan. So Locke opens up the aforementioned World of Ruin Narsh Weapon Shop and the Phoenix Cave, which Double Down is doing. He also opens up the South Figaro Cave, where you fight tunnel armor in the vanilla game. Strago unlocks 3 different checks, one of which being the Fanatics Tower. The gimmick with that is that you can only use magic in the Fanatics Tower. However, there is an high-tier item at the top of the tower. In vanilla, it's the gem box, but it's an item at the top. There is also a dragon that you could fight along the way. However, Square must have had like a fetish with stairs back in the 90s, right? Between this game with the Fanatics Tower and the Shinra Tower in Final Fantasy VII. So it's a long way up and a long way down. Unfortunately, you can't warp out. Nobody War deciding to take off the Moogle Charm to get some grind fights in. We give our runners 3 Moogle Charms at the start of the seed, and it looks like we got Control and Capture or other 2 abilities. So that's a yick, except for GP Rain. And GP Rain doesn't come online until you're, a little bit higher levels. It does a fixed flat amount of damage based on the amount of enemies that are on the screen and the level that you are, while costing some rain, some GP. So yeah, back to character gating. For Strago, there's Fanatics Tower. There's also Ebbets Rock, which is an RNG type dungeon. And there is the Burning House, which has those not so fixed encounters, those flames that you may or may not be able to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge out of the way of in that particular dungeon there. And then for Cyan, he has 5 checks. He has the Dome of Siege in the World of Balance. He's got Mount Zozo, where he's writing letters to his love in the World of Ruin. And then he has Cyan's Dream, or Cyan's Nightmare. Ooh, Prometheus giving Nobody War the business here. Yeah, you better run away. That is a Kefka's Tower boss. Kefka's Tower enemy, rather, I do believe. So that's the yikes for me, dog. Please miss it. Please miss it. Ooh, Cyan, unfortunately, is going to take a death. And hopefully he's saved sometime soon. In the Phoenix Cave here, we've got a piece of magic for Double Down. That is the first one of our runners. And unfortunately, Nobody War did not save prior to that wipe. So it looks like he's starting back at square 0 again, which is unfortunate. Question from the chat from Starman. What unlocks the Phantom Train? So the Phantom Train is actually a check for Sabin. So if we get Sabin, then we can go to the Phantom Train, because of course Sabin has to suplex the Phantom Train, right? So that's of course who the character is that gates that check. Nobody War is going to head over to the Returner's hideout again to do his looting. Ficta is in South Figaro, as is Hefe. Now, interesting to note, Hefe is in the World of Ruin, South Figaro. The chests on the outdoor portions of South Figaro are different between the World of Balance and the World of Ruin, whereas underground, the treasure chests that are underneath the town, they are shared between worlds, right? So if you open up the World of Balance, you can't go into the World of Ruin and then open them up again. And more information about the checks and the game, ff6wc.com is our website. There's lots of different guides and resources for newer players. There's also a link to our Discord, where we have fun and meme most of the time. Mostly the latter and not the former. So we'll see now. There's a hero ring in the basement Ficta picked up. So hero ring is a relic that will double the both magic and offensive-based attacks. It does not stack for physical offense, but it does stack for magical offense, which is good. It looks like Hefe is heading over to World of Ruin Thamasa, which is, as I mentioned, where one of Strago's checks is, the Burning House, or affectionately known in the community, Casa del Fuego. So we'll see if Hefe decides to go in there. There's also 6 treasure chests in as well. Rage Ring and Ribbon pickup. Ribbon will be really good for that Curse Shield. Remember, it's at 9 battles, and I am joined by Chucksup. I've never had to pronounce your name before.
Hey, yeah, Chucksup, you got it.
What's up, Chucks?
Hey, it's going good.
I see what you did there. You just did the "What's up, Chuck," and reverse the 2 letters. A little thank you. My Liz Dexy is now showing. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you got it though.
Awesome. So yeah, what we're seeing here, to recap those in the audience, Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide Randomizer, where pretty much everything's randomized. That's a 55,000 GP glowing stone on Ficta's screen in to Zen. So in the world of balance, they will let you know if it is a glowing stone or just an item. So we know it's an item. We know it's a glowing stone. There's a different price in the world of Ruin, so maybe he tries to find it for a little bit cheaper there. Hefe did not take my Casa del Fuego bait, as he's going to Albrook to look for some more chests.
Yeah,
by the way, feel free to interrupt me. I just steamroll over people sometimes.
No, you're good. I was just going to say, it looks like we're still in the early phase right now, right? Of everyone just kind of running around, checking shops, checking chests, looking for items, seeing what kind of offense they can build. Has anyone done, I assume no one's done any real checks at this point?
Well, Double Down was the only one of our runners to go into the Phoenix Cave. That's why he's up 1 Magicite on everybody else. We did do the Narch Weapon Shop, and we found an XP egg. And we also found an XP egg in the shed. So this should be a pretty powerful seed, because we also found a pair of ice shields as well. And this woman is really giving Hefe the business here. Go into the inn to reset the world, if that ever happens to you. You could reset the position of the NPC characters.
We don't have Y remove on, correct? Because this is a standard flag set.
Correct. We can't yeet the NPCs out of the way. 16,000 is much cheaper for Kieran in the world of Ruin. Unfortunately, it only teaches the Imp spell, so that's not going to be very useful there. But it is a Magicite, so Ficta does grab his first. So we'll see what our runners decide to take as their first boss check. Now, we start at level 3, and level 3 is not a good place to be. That's why you see Nobody War doing some grind fights. He did run into Prometheus and had to reset and start over. He lost a couple of minutes there, which is rather unfortunate. You hate to see it happen.
Yeah, no, it's tough doing those boss checks without having your guys leveled at all, especially if you don't have something like rod or shield or anything to break.
Yeah, so sometimes what our runners do will be to prioritize as their Hefe grabs Kieran as well from the Shady Guy into Zen Woods, getting his first piece of Magicite. What some of our runners will do is they will look for checks that have forced encounters in them. So with our 3 starting characters, Locke, Cyan, and Strago, what you can do is you can go to the world of Balanced Doma Siege. That's a Cyan check, and you can actually ask those soldiers that are trying to climb unsuccessfully up the castle, "Fight me, bro," and they will fight you if you go up to them and hold A. They're not required. You could just walk up and fight the boss, but if you're at level 3, it's a good way to grind. However, if you lose that fight, you lose all that XP that you grinded, so it's a bit of a risk reward. And then we've got Burning House, which is the same thing. You can dodge those flames, but maybe not. Nobody War finding a Stray Cat fight. That might be important if we find a character with Rage later on.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was going to say, Kefka and Narsh, similar situation too, right? You can avoid all those soldiers if you want, or take them for the experience.
Yeah, some Magus hats there on Double Down's screen. So those are very cheap helmets that you can buy that give you +7 magic. So I usually pick up a fat stack of 4 of them because they're cheap enough. They're usually a couple of hundred GP each, and they really boost your magic stats. So I like him picking up 4 of them there.
Hefe also just bought a handful of super balls. So it looks
that's plan. Yeah, so do you want to explain what super balls are and why they're important?
Well, I don't know the exact formula on how they deal damage, but I know it's somewhat of a random calculation. And early on, you're able to do a lot of damage to either a single target or a group of targets. And throughout the seed, actually, they're really handy for just especially characters who maybe don't have any other way of dealing damage.
Yeah, so super balls will do a multiple of 256 damage to a multiple of targets. So normally we reserve them for bosses, and hopefully bosses with only 1 part instead of 2. Because if there are multiple parts to a boss, then you might not target the correct one with the super ball. But that's why it's so powerful, because it's a flat multiple of 256 damage, all the way up to, I think, 8196 is the maximum that your super ball can do. And it looks like Hefe is going to head into Fanatic's Tower, which is a smart play. He sees Shadow at the bottom, so World's Best Dad is who we're going to get out of this check here.
Now he must have some kind of magic damage, right, in order to...
Well, with the Fanatic's Tower, the gimmick is you can only use magic, but you can also use items, and super balls are items. So Hefe, with those super balls that he found, I believe they were in one of the towns in the World of Ruin. I don't remember which one, because he went to a bunch of them. It might have been Albrook, it might have been Jador, I wasn't really paying attention. But what he's going to do is use super balls to either kill this dragon here or kill the boss. And that is how he's going to level himself up very quickly.
Sure.
Meanwhile, Double Down is in Mount Zozo, which is one of Cyan's checks. And there is a dragon here, but you don't have to fight it, so we'll see if he fights it or not. On level 3, I'm thinking he's going to skip this here. Alright, so Hefe is going to take the dragon. It's the Storm Dragon, aka the Wind Dragon. It's actually weak to lightning, believe it or not, which seems kind of weird for being a Storm Dragon, but it is what it is. Double Down does not take the optional dragon here, so he's just going to pick up his reward. And as I said, super balls are the way to go. And there you see Crack Pow. 2 nice rolls there, and he's got 3 more super balls for the boss. Unfortunately for Double Down, the bird is flying away with just a star on the ground, which means it's not an Esper. And if there was a character there, then you know it's a character. So this is, unfortunately, a dead check. We'll see what kind of item it is here. Picked it in the World of Balanced Doma. I think there was a Thunder Shield that the Storm Dragon dropped for Hefe, and as I mentioned, little grind on the soldiers here, and oh no! Nobody wore, I think he found Doomgaze by accident. Oh man, I hope he's prepared for this.
Yeah, Atma Weapon's not a pushover.
Not as scary as his bigger brother, and has the epic music. But still, when you're at level 3, it can hurt. Coliseum dip here from Double Down. So as you see in Worlds Collide, there is a rewards menu where you can see what the bet versus what the reward is. And in this particular set of options, I believe there's only like 20%. It's like 50 or 60 or so. And he didn't see anything that he found worth it.
Ficta had a soft reset there.
Yeah.
Looking for some easier mobs to fight.
Oh no, those are 2 confused characters over on Nobody Wars screen here. Yes. And this is at least the target was correct.
Yeah, lucky ice 2 there.
Woo!
Oh, and he gets the kill. Wow.
Very nice.
Yeah, looks like Vic is grinding a little bit in that South Figaro cave, which is a great grinding spot since it has the recovery spring there, so you can just kind of sit there, go back and forth, recover your HP and MP while you get whatever levels you feel like you need.
Yep, the healing bucket, as it were. Unfortunately for Hefe, he finds the three Stooges. And remember what I said about Super Balls being able to target a random number of targets? Well, in this fight, you really want to take out the top Stooge first, and luckily he does with that second Super Ball, because that second Stooge will not only heal, but it will bring the other ones back to life. But thankfully, that one goes down. The other Stooges are weak to the element of their clothing, so one is the Ice Stooge, one is the Thunder Stooge. So this shouldn't be a problem for Hefe here. Alright, looks like nobody war with those levels is heading up to Mount Zozo. There's also a lot of treasure chests in Mount Zozo, as Double Down picks up his second piece of magic there from the shady dude in the woods. It looks like on Ficta's screen, Locke has found a sniper, or maybe that was a Hawkeye. I think I saw a Hawkeye either for sale or in a chest somewhere. Hawkeye will deal a potential 3 times damage proc to floating targets, and there are a lot of floating targets in the game, so he's utilizing that on that particular battle there. Doing some grinding by the spring, and there you go. With those EXP eggs, you don't really have to fight too many encounters to get that many levels here. Hefe with the semi-walk of shame, because you're going to have to do this. This is thumb exercises with Hefe here on the screen.
It is kind of weird that you can't just use a warp stone to get out of that tower.
So there is a technical reason why. Since Fanatic's Tower, when you enter the tower, it sets on a bit somewhere that says magic only, please. If you warp out, you would kind of screw up the setting of that bit, because it wouldn't trigger the event to say, okay, you can use fight command again. So that's that's the technical reason why, but yeah, you can't warp out of it. But you can see the reward at the bottom, and Hefe knew it was character number 4 for him in Shadow, so we're going to pick him up. And we've got a ghost train on the screen. Too bad we don't have any blitzers.
Yep, no suplex on the train.
SpeedGaming 2, thank you for the raid. Appreciate it. You're watching some Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide Randomizer. Shadow has Morph on him, which is a decent ability, but not anything that's going to be earth-shattering this early in the game, unfortunately. So I think Hefe was hoping for a better ability. We have Locke with Capture, Strago with Control, and Cyan with GP Rain.
Looks like nobody is going to take the dragon.
Alright, so the dragon is... Ooh. The Dirt Dragon. This is not one you really want to see.
No, especially if you don't have float.
Yeah, so the Dirt Dragon is one of the tougher dragons. It's weak to water, but there's not much water in terms of spells in this game. Ice is a decent substitute, but Dirt Dragon is an earth elemental dragon, and there's not a lot of earth resistance in the game. Even if, as Chuck's Up said, even if you do float, the Dirt Dragon has an ability to actually put you back on the ground. So he's a nasty dragon to fight.
Nobody more made it look easy though. And Hefe looks like he's going for Mount Zozo now as well.
Yep, it's a pretty popular spot. It is Air Force, though, at the Dome of Siege. This is my least favorite boss in the entire game, actually. Because he could just decide, you know what, I'm going to just kill you. He's got 3 different parts to him, which can launch 3 different attacks, one of which being Launcher that reduces your party's XP drastically, and then he's got AoE attacks that can just wipe out the rest of your party. It's pretty crazy. I don't know if Nobody War wiped to the Dirt Dragon. I see him back in the shop, so I assume he probably did. We'll see if Hefe decides to take on this Dirt Dragon here. Double Down is heading straight for a soldier, and not for the boss yet.
Nobody did get the kill on that Dirt Dragon.
Okay, wonderful. He just got the dead check at the end of it, though.
Mm-hmm. What I've been doing in my runs is doing the check first to see if there's an Esper or a character there that I want to have in my party for when I take the dragon out, so that I get that MP to learn the abilities or level up the character if I want to use them.
Yep, that's certainly a viable option for sure. It's a little bit of backtracking, so it's slightly more time consuming, but dragons will give tons of XP, and unfortunately Double Down, like I said, Air Force, the real MVP of the seed so far, giving both of our runners lots of trouble. You hate to see it.
Yep, there's another soft reset.
24 HP and a Dream on Cyan here, just throwing his money around. Unfortunately, GP Rain does do diminished damage because of the multiple targets of Air Force, but Ficta gets past it on the first try. Dirt Dragon also going down for Hefe there. Falcon Hit pointing out that Ficta actually got the Desperation attack for Strago there, but the Strago Desperation attack is actually an insta-kill move. It's not a... it doesn't actually do damage, and since since Air Force can't be insta-killable, that doesn't really work. Double Down, again, running into the wall that is Air Force with his AoE attacks. Nobody War is actually in Cyan's Dream, which is a 3-part check. The first and third parts of this check can reward only an Esper or an item, and the second part is either a character or an Esper. So we'll see what boss is here at the beginning of the Dream.
And this one also awards you all 8 of the sword techs too, correct, once you complete it?
Yes, that is a good point. We do not have anybody with sword tech yet, but if we do, you do get all 8 sword techs. And unlike it in the vanilla game, the sword tech bar fills very fast, so it's actually usable in Worlds Collide. Double Down finding out the hard way that insta-kill attacks or insta-kill weapons don't work against undead enemies. That's never a fun thing. Hefe finding his, I believe that was an ice shield at the end of Mount Zozo, so lots of dead checks early on for our runners. That is a Magicite, though, in Gao's dad's house. It's number 2 for him.
And it looks like Ficta's about to be another runner disappointed by what's in Mount Zozo.
Yeah, so far the only place we know that a character is at Fanatic's Tower with Shadow. The places that we have not checked yet are Cyan's Dream number 2, although I didn't see a character running past. Did you see on Nobody War's screen? I wasn't looking.
Oh, I didn't see. When he checked the back of the train?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
no,
this is the Dream. So the character will run at you in the second part.
Jumping on the roof of the train.
Yep. So the only places that we have not checked so far are the Strago checks, really, other than Fanatic's Tower. So there's Burning House, and then there's Ebbets Rock. I think we've seen pretty much everywhere else from our starting set of characters here. You'll also see what the reward is in this sequence with the Magitech armor. If you take off your Moogle Charm while in the Magitech armor, that is a soldier sprite, so that is not a character there at Dream number 2. If you actually take off your Moogle Charm while in the Magitech gear here that Nobody War is in, you actually can use the Magitech command in your grind fights. So I've started doing that here in Cyan's Dream just to get easy levels, because Magitech is one of the strongest commands in the game.
That's a good trick. And is Double Down the first one to decide to go into Flaming House?
He looks like it is. It's Casa del Fuego for Double Down. Those Hawkeye procs really coming in for Ficta here. Because Dirt Dragon, as most dragons would do, is floating. Although not all dragons float, which this game has sort of a weird... a weird thing about is it floating or is it not floating. Pearl is one of the spells there on Nobody War's Esper from the first part of Cyan's Dream. Unfortunately, it's Ifrit, but we do have Ice too, so this won't be a problem here. And
the way
yes,
this
I also
works,
forgot Kefka at Narsh. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
if he deals enough damage to Ifrit, you don't have to deal with Shiva afterwards, correct?
Correct. There is no Shiva sighting today in this race with ice. Ifrit is weak to ice, absorbs fire. Shiva is the opposite, weak to fire, absorbs ice. You could actually run away in between Ifrit and Shiva if you can't kill either one of them as the transition is happening between Ifrit and Shiva. I've done it once in a race because it was just going to be so much less time than resetting out and trying to learn a spell. Unfortunately, you don't get any XP or MP that way, and Ifrit Shiva fight gives you 30 MP and a boatload of XP. Nobody War here is going to check the throne, and it is Magicite number 3, so that's an Esper trifecta there in the dream. Strength +1 on that one Esper, and MP +50 plus Doom on that other one. So some decent spells there for Nobody War, who after a early game setback is now looking like he's doing pretty well and getting ready. That was an Aura Lance, excuse me, at
And it looks like Double Down's taking advantage of the fixed encounters here in the Flaming House, so he can get a little extra experience, and he's also doing some robbery, it looks like, at the same time.
Yeah, so since the Curse Shield was 9 battles, I think the Burning House is perfect for uncracking that shield, because hopefully by the time you're at the end of the Burning House, you would have cracked that shield. Nobody War, peeking the bottom of the Fanatic's Tower, sees Shadow, and he's going to work his way up, because he has learned some ice spells on his characters. Ficta diving into the Phoenix Cave, so he's going to get Esper number 3 here. Hefe is in the lead numerically with 4 characters and 3 Espers. He's both the only person that has Shadow, and, well, Nobody War also has 3 Espers, but he's also got 3.
Hefe's going to be disappointed with his deck check right here, but it looks like he's using the opportunity to level up a little bit as well.
Yeah, well, we had 2 EXP eggs for free in chests in both World of in Narsh and at the weapon shop, and they're also for sale in South Figaro. So anytime you can grind some money to get yourself some more XP eggs, and levels are the most important thing in the game. Nobody War finding the Storm Dragon, who says no thank you with that Blowfish. Yikes. You hate to see it. Blowfish does flat 1,000 damage. So that's never fun.
Yeah, especially this early when his characters have such low HP.
It is leader at the end of the Casa del Fuego, so this is a pretty easy boss for Double Down. So we've seen different bosses and lots of other different things going on in their vanilla spots and their not so vanilla spots. That is another Magicite for Double Down. So how Worlds Collide works is it will scale enemies based on, in this particular set of options, how many pieces of magic you have, how many characters you have, and also how many dragons you've killed. And I haven't been counting dragons. So let me go back and do that now. Everybody's got one except for Double Down. So yeah, if you count the number of dragons, the number of characters, the number of Espers each runner has, that times 2 is what the levels of the bosses will be. To give you an idea of it. Hefe running into Air Force, and there's that launcher that will just basically destroy your stuff.
Double Down heading to Doma Castle to do the check there as well.
Nobody War taking down Dragon number 2. Hefe also has 2 dragons. I always forget to track the dragons. I'm bad at this.
Hefe's having a tough time here with Air Force. Oh, but there he goes and gets the kill with a nice 2.
Yeah, Air Force is a bit of a glass cannon. He can damage you real fast, but then he also dies very quickly. And it's a DPS race that Hefe barely squeaked out of.
And it looks like Double Down's going with the strategy of casting magic on all 3 parts of Air Force to try to mitigate some of that damage rather than just focusing down the main part of it.
Yes, you can kill off those other two things. It'll launch a spec, which doesn't actually do any attacks, which is good. So if you're having trouble staying alive, don't call the Bee Gees. kill Air Force's two pods there.
The problem with the spec, though, is then it negates any magic attacks you use until you take it out.
Fortunately, it's doesn't have a lot of HP, and Hefe is heading up to the floating continent, which is a 3-part check. It's one of Shadow's checks. And at this point in the run, when you don't have your characters, don't have your espers, this is probably a pretty good call. Floating continent is 3 checks in one. The first check must be an esper or a character. The last check must be an esper or a character, and the second check is either an esper or an item, where you fight the Atma weapon. Looks like Hefe's got Merton strats going, though.
Yeah, he's got fire protection on all of his guys, so that's going to be really helpful in getting him rolling right here.
Yeah, so Merton is a magical spell that will attack everything on the screen, including your own party, but you could nullify it if you could find resistance to fire and or wind. So with ice shields and thunder shields, he can nullify out fire and wind damage, so that's really, really good, and that'll be his strategy, I think, for most of the seed. The problem with Merton is it costs 85 MP to cast. All the MP costs are vanilla. They are not randomized. Snow Muffler in a chest there for double down. In one of the Figaro caves, I'm pretty sure this is the one with for Locke's tunnel armor check.
And is Ficta our first runner to go to the Ebit's Rock check?
Yes, Ebit's Rock. And
Yeah.
we'll see what the boss is here. It is Dataluma. Weak to poison and pretty weak in general. So this shouldn't be too difficult. Now you can see the GP Rain really coming in handy at these higher levels.
Right, and it's fairly efficient, right? It doesn't eat away your GP too much.
No, and you know, most of the time people in RPGs, we tend to hoard things, but with Worlds Collide, if you don't use it by the time you get to Kefka, you can't take it with you, right? So you might as well throw that money. Ghost Train opening up with an Evil Toot. Thankfully, not too bad of effects. And it's a Flying Rexol. That is scary. So Rexol is very high magic defense, not as high physical defense, so the best thing to do is hit him with a stick, but with Hefe's magic composition here, this is going to be a long fight.
It can be really time consuming too if you are using some kind of AoE that accidentally kills his little guardians there in the front, and just the time it takes for them to despawn and respawn every time.
So I didn't actually see what Ebit's Rock was, but looking at Ficta's tracker, he's still got 3 characters and 3 pieces of magic, so unfortunately that was another dead check. Double down, picking up Magistite number 4 there from the tunnel armor check. Unfortunately, so in Worlds Collide, Rexol does not have the same Zinger status that he does in the vanilla game, so we can't easily take him out with like an Odin or a Raiden summon. But this also means that he doesn't control one of your characters that you then have to hit to critical HP in order for him to escape that particular character's body. So it's just a quicker, easier way to deal with Rexol, although, like I said, with magical attacks, it's not very fast here.
And Nobody Wars got Shadow.
Best Dad, here we go. So he's our second runner with 4 characters. So in a seed like this, where it's looking pretty linear, getting your characters is the most important part, right? Even though you don't need as many characters as you do pieces of magic, with the character-gated concept, characters will open up checks, and you need as many checks as you can in order to get those 9 espers here. Floating pasta in the sky. for the second boss here in the first part of the floating continent. Kefka dipping his toe in the Casa del Fuego. Nobody War, I believe, picked up his 4th Esper there at Gao Manor. I see Drew has entered the chat. Drew, congratulations on your GDQW. It was awesome to watch you guys race early this morning at the crisp time of 4:30 a.m. for me. Very nice.
And it doesn't look like there's a character there on Flying Continent, so Hefe's going to get another Magicite, which is Phantom.
Has some pretty good spells on it, though. X-Zone, I saw, Cure 2, and Speed +1. Right, so the spells that are on Espers and the bonuses are randomized here in Worlds Collide. Double Down is going to find his 5th Magicite there at Dream number 1.
Oh, Hefe's got Katana Soul here in the Monster in a Box.
Ooh. So why do we want to find Katana Soul?
Offering.
Yeah, so Katana Soul will drop the Offering Relic, which allows you to attack 4 times instead of once at half damage per attack. With Hefe's party composition, he might not need the Offering unless I miss like an Atma weapon pickup somewhere that he's waiting on. Katana Soul does drop a lot of GP, and it will give you 25 MP. So this is all in all not a terrible waste here, even if he doesn't use the Offering, because like I said, you still have a lot of MP and GP that you get. He's starting to throw things at people. This is not going to be fun. There it is. Capture with lock. Finishing off. Air Force is also down for Nobody's War. Unfortunately, took Cyan with him. Air Force giving our runners the business this seed. Oop. I accidentally cut 19 for Magicite instead of 5 for Nobody War. Whoops! He's figured out how to hack the game. And now it's the long walk on the floating continent.
Yeah, this can be kind of a time-consuming check here, but when you run out of other quick options, it's sometimes the only way you can progress.
Yeah, and as I said, there is guaranteed progression at the 1st and 3rd slots on the floating continent, so FA, probably sick of finding all these dead checks, is going, you know what, I'm going to go where I am guaranteed to get some progression here. Plus, you get some levels, and it's better to do earlier in the seed than later because of the way that leveling works with enemy encounters, and you do get a monster in a box. Yeah, I typically like to do the save here as well, because this way, if you die at whatever the Atma weapon spot is, you don't have to walk through the entire floating continent all over again.
That's true.
Yeah, Drew, you missed Shadow, who is the only character we've seen thus far in the seed at Fanatics Tower. So this has been a real doozy. We've given our runners a lot to do, but not a lot of places to go for progression. There was an experience egg in a chest in World of Ruin Narsh. There's an experience egg as a choice in the weapon shop, and there were experience eggs for sale in South Figaro. So. Very, very good. Oh, Magimaster!
Well, good thing he saved.
So that, my friends, is why I save.
All right.
At the drop-down spot in the floating continent. So, Magimaster, he will change his weakness every single time he gets damaged. So the first attack is kind of a freebie, which is why you see Hefe use Merton here. But then he is weak to one element, nullifies 6 elements, and will absorb 1 element. So there's only 1 element that you're allowed to hit him with. So you need either defense ignoring attacks, which GP Rain is, or you need non-elemental spells, of which I don't think we have at this point. So it's just going to be a Cyan toss the money show here. and hoping to stay alive.
Is there any way to know which ones he's nullifying himself to as the fight progresses?
Yes, so if you learn the scan spell, you can scan magic. This is how you're technically supposed to do it, I think. Is you use scan in order to figure out what element Magimaster is weak to, and then you go ahead and use that on him. But like I said, he changes it every time you damage him with that wall change ability. So this is a slog and a grind of a fight.
So as he's changing, he's not adding more and more things that he's immune to. He's just switching between them.
Correct. So he will always be weak to one element, nullify 6 of them, and absorb 1 of them. So there you see Merton, which is both fire and wind. Magimaster was not weak to either one of those, so tough luck. Nobody War also taking the floating continent here, as Ficta is... Ooh. Oh my goodness, a double doom.
Lost too, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, those characters aren't doing anything, so unless he wants to get them back up for the purposes of XP, he should probably keep them dead. In Final Fantasy VI, XP is not granted if your characters are dead when the battle is over.
But the 2 remaining characters would get a larger share of the XP, right?
No, not in this particular set of options. There is a flag set that allows you to split your XP amongst your party members. For this set of options, all party members will receive the same amount of XP. And there it is. Magimaster down for Hefe.
Well done.
Thank goodness he's saved.
Alive too. Ragnarok. And that was Ragnarok the Esper? Or no. Yes, Ragnarok the Esper.
Yep. There it is. Yeah, he's been accruing some XP. You know what's funny? That that Katana Soul fight that he fought right beforehand single-handedly bankrolled his his Magimaster fight.
Right.
So there you go. We were talking about why are we taking Katana Soul when you have Merton? That's why. To get some of that Skrilla, that dollar bill.
Right. Toss it at the bosses.
On to the third part of the floating continent after his party gets yeeted off of the statue spot by Kefka. Larry, unfortunately, has Reflect on him on Ficta's screen. So this is going to be... This means one of 2 things. He either has to find something that he could reflect off of himself, something that is not targetable, or... And this is one of the weirder things in the game. Larry is actually one of the only enemy, or one of the only bosses that will run away. So since Larry is the only one that's left there, as he didn't run away, he just died. But Larry can actually run away, and you will win that fight if Larry does that, and he's the only one left.
And you still get the full share of experience, too, for it, right?
Yes. Got Rexol as boss number 1 in the floating continent. Dada Luma going down on Double Down screen in the RNG dungeon. He will pick up a flame shield. So that's what that was. That's probably why Hefe, one of his characters, is getting healed every time Merton comes out with that flame shield.
And these last couple encounters from Hefe, too, even though he has a Moogle charm on, he still has to fight these or decide to run away or smoke bomb out of them. These are scripted. The last couple encounters here are scripted encounters on Floating Continent.
That's right. There are 2 forced encounters, and it's Chatternook. Ugh, another annoying boss. So Chatternook has 2 different halves. One is the demon half, and one is the girl half. The girl half, you cannot kill. The demon half is the only one you can kill. And in Worlds Collide, we've actually sped up the amount of time that this is in demon phase, so it's actually better. And thankfully, we have the timers disabled. Could you imagine waiting for Chatternook with that countdown going?
Right. Because this animation is kind of glitchy, where she goes back and forth between demon and girl.
Floating pasta in the sky on Nobody Wars screen, and I think Double Down is doing our first Kefka at Norse check, perhaps, here? I think that's the World of Balance.
We're going to find out right here whether or not there's a dragon. Yep.
Oh, it's Realm! So, Kefka at Norsh also had a character.
Typically in my runs, I wait until I have Mog to
to
do that check, but
yeah, I usually wait until either I have 5 party members, so I can have a full party to go up against the boss here, or, as you said, I wait until I have either Mog or Terra to loop it in. So.
Yep. That's a big walk up there for just one check.
Hefe does get past the floating continent, and it is Edgar with Blitz. Unfortunately, Edgar's magic power is pitiful. Did you see that? 24. Yikes, dog. So Blitz is a magic-based ability. Or rather, most blitzes are based on magic power, with the exception of the aforementioned Suplex and Pummel. So having a base power of 24 is not going to be good, especially since Hefe already knows what he's doing with this seed. He's just setting it on fire with Merton. Ficta in the cave on the Veld, which is one of Shadow's checks. I don't think we've seen the cave on the Veld yet.
No, I think you're right. I think this is the first time. And what's good about this check, too, is that you can actually see what you're getting if you're later in the run and you, let's say you don't need a character, you don't need an Esper, whatever, you can actually see if you're going to get an Esper character or something else before you take the final boss fight in the cave.
It is Presenter, one of 2 snails in the game. We haven't seen Welk, the other one. And he's going to smoke bomb out of that because he doesn't have access to quick instant death, or doesn't really feel like defeating it because most monster in a boxes don't give any experience. The Presenter does not. It does give magic points, and it does give a Dragon Claw, which is an okay stat stick, but that's about it. There's an Esper on the floor there for Ficta, so that's what his reward is going to be. And Nobody War is running into his Magimaster fight here, so we'll see how he handles this one. There is a soldier as the sprite for Hefe down in the engine room, which is one of Edgar's checks, so it's not going to be a character. And double down at the end of Kefka at Narsh. Oh my goodness. With 2 characters, has to fight the spicy chicken. You hate to see it. This is awful.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough fight, especially because he doesn't have... Oh, he stole a red jacket off of him, though. That's nice.
Yeah, Poltergeist will give you a red jacket as a steal, and it will also drop an Aura Lance, the best spear in the game. We don't have anybody with jump.
Isn't Poltergeist susceptible to... Is it stop?
Poltergeist is susceptible to stop. I don't think I've seen it anywhere, though. It's a Golem Esper for Hefe, and Bahamut, I think, for Ficta. So 2 more pieces of magic for our runners there in our new checks. So, question from the chat, are the checks gated? Yes, so every character unlocks certain world events. Kefka at Narsh is actually not gated by any characters, so you can go there with whatever party that you have. But each character will unlock specific world events. So, for instance, we started with Locke and Cyan and Strago. As there's an Illumina on the throne, that's a very nice sword pickup there. It's the best sword in the game, so you love to see that. So, for instance, Locke, his world events are the weapon shop in the World of Ruin, Narsh, where you pick the locks, the Phoenix Cave, where you recruit him in the vanilla game, and the Tunnel Armor check, the South Figaro Cave in the World of Balance. So those are the 3 world events that you could do if you have the Locke character, etc., etc.
So I just noticed, too, in Figaro Castle, from one of the vendors there, they had Super Balls, which means that if he goes back there with Edgar, he can get half-price Super Balls, which is pretty nice.
Alright, well, double down. Does Kefka at Narsh, will get the Realm, takes out the spicy chicken. Realm is one of the fan-favorite characters of Worlds Collide runners because of her massive amount of magic points. I didn't actually get to see it flash by so quickly, but does have the health command, Banon's health command, which is equivalent to a party-wide Cure 2. It's not great, but it's also really instrumental if you don't have any health spells in this particular seed. We do have Cure 2, though, but it's still nice to have a free Cure 2.
And is the formula for what determines how much health heals, is it based on your current HP?
So health is basically like casting a Cure 2 on your entire party. So it's based on the magic power of the caster. It's not based on your current HP. I think you're thinking of Pearlwind, which is a lore. Pearlwind heals your party for the amount of HP that you have.
That's what I'm confusing it with, yeah, okay.
And then there's also Mantra, which is a blitz that will cure your party for the amount of health that the blitz user has, but that gets divided amongst all of the party members. So it's not as good as Pearlwind, but Mantra also does heal some status effects like Blind and Silence, so it's very useful on Train in the final battle, as well as being a healing thing.
Right.
So Nobody War, still grinding out this Magi Master here. I think he's also using GP Rain.
Hefe found Setzer in the Edgar's check in the World of Ruin.
Did not see what he had on, or what ability Setzer had, but decided not to take him anyway. I mean, at this point, he's got his party set pretty much, right? He's got his magic casters and everything. Rasp is a strategy that will work on Magi Master. He will die if he has no MP left, but he has a ton of MP. It's going to take a very, very long time to get through Magi Master by just rasping him to death. Red Dragon down for Hefe. That's Dragon number 3 for him. We'll see if there's any fun drops here.
If you're in Hefe's position right now, beyond getting the requirements to get to Final Kefka, what's kind of on your checklist in terms of things that you feel like you need before you can take on the final boss?
Well, at his levels, I believe I menued really quick, he menued quick, and I saw he's at level like 42. He's fine. If you got Merton strats going, just go. Find your progression as fast as possible. SpeedGaming coming in. What's up, SpeedGaming 5? Welcome to Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide, an open world Final Fantasy VI randomizer. We're watching a fun race here, although it's more fun for us in the booth than the runners, given the fact that this speed has been kind of linear so far, I would say. Because we had to get Shadow, and then after Shadow, you had to get Edgar from the Floating Continent, and then Edgar gives you Setzer, right? So that was sort of the path through the seed, unless you did what Double Down did, which was go to Kefka at Narsh and find Realm, which is why he's in Owzer's Mansion. He's the only runner that's found Realm thus far.
Hefe doing the long walk back to the airship.
Yeah, so I usually try to park my airship somewhat in between, the castle that I'm exiting out of and the cave that I'm entering into.
And now he's intentionally taking Doomgate since he's got Setzer now, so it allows him to quickly do that check.
Unfortunately, oh no, we didn't see what it was because Nobody War did lose to Atma Weapon the first time around when he accidentally ran into it. However, Nobody War does pick up the W there on Magi Master eventually to get his 6th Magicite. And Ficta cleans up the Dream, which gives him Magicites 8 and 9 there, so he's in Magicite go mode. He just needs to find the 2 characters, and we know exactly where they are. He just doesn't. At the end of the Floating Continent, and then in the Ancient Castle. But he can also go to Kefka at Narsh and get Realm, and it's Tritok at Owzer's Mansion. Tritok absorbs, or rather nullifies, everything except for fire, which he's weak to, and ice, which he absorbs.
That's an offering from
another offering you don't need.
Yep.
Womp womp. Well, the Search the Sky or the Doomgaze spot is either an Esper or an item. And there is another character, Mog, there, sitting in the Kolonjinin. So that's the second of Setzer's check. The other of Setzer's check is Daryl's tomb. And you can read what's on the tombstone before you fight the battle and reset out if you don't want it. So we'll see if he decides to go there. Mog will open up the Lone Wolf check, which is in World of Balance Narsh. And he'll probably also find Realm there if he decides to go do that check. Meanwhile, Double Down does find another piece of Magicite at Owzer's Mansion. It is not a character. So Realm's other check that she gates is Esper Mountain in the World of Balance. So we'll see if there is a character at Esper Mountain. If there is not, then the only way forward through this seed is at the Floating Continent, which is kind of a feels bad as our runners Double Down and Hefe sort of give a high five there in Jador, one coming in, one going out. Hefe going to his least favorite check here, the auction house. You can go in it and you can ask the doorman what's up. He says glowing stones are available. That means that you can buy an Esper here in the auction house.
The auction house can be a really easy way to get Espers or even sometimes a high tier item, but a lot of times it can just also be a huge waste of time if you don't get the right RNG.
Ficht is up at Kefka at Narsh, decides he's going to go get Realm. Decides that he does not want to do the Floating Continent, and I don't blame him with 9 characters. So the auction house has 4 different items, well, technically 5, but you can't buy the 5th one. Has 5 items for sale. The first is a $50,000 item, which Hefe just bought.
Ooh,
then there is
Sorry, go
sorry.
ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just taking note of Nobody War with some really poor timing on the bolt cast there. He just healed Shardnook for, I think, 6k or so.
Oof. Yeah, Chatternook will absorb lightning, is weak to Pearl and fire. It is a painting after all. You can light it on fire. It is a demon, so Pearl will definitely work. So in the auction house, there's also a $20,000 either Esper or item, a $10,000 Esper or item, and then another $10,000 item. So there are 2 reward slots, and what you want to try and do is buy up the $50,000 item so that the other rewards will appear more often. So usually runners will take $80,000 to $90,000 in with them. He actually bought one of the $10,000 items. I don't know if it was one of the reward slots. It looks like it was, because the character said before a splendid chest. So that means it's either the $50,000 item or the reward slot. This, however, is not. This is the $10,000 item. So if I was him, I would not buy it, because if you take this out of the pool, you have more chances of finding the Imp Robot, which is the unpurchasable cutscene that our runners hate to see.
And this strategy only works in World of Ruin, right? World of Balance has a different set of mechanics in the auction house.
Yeah, so in the World of Balance, the items do not come out of the pool. So you could buy... the reward items obviously do. But the other one, the $50,000 item and the $10,000 item, don't come out of the pool. So you could buy them as many times as you want, if they're good items. But most runners will tend to go to the World of Ruin to get rid of the items from the pool, so you don't have this happening where you keep getting the same thing over and over and over and over again. Hefe is deciding to buy that gold hairpin this time around.
It looks like Ficta just took that Poltergeist down. I saw he did break one of his ice shields over it.
It's as good of a time as any. He's already learned probably the ice 2 spells there, so it's a good time to break that ice shield. It will do a max damage tier 3 level spell, and in this case, that is ice 3.
Well, there's a Magicite down for Hefe at the auction house, finally.
Yep, well, he bought everything else, so... So not only Hefe Cyan throwing money at Magimaster, but he's throwing money at his problems here in the auction house. Getting Magicite number 8, I believe that is, with Tirado?
Yep.
No, I'm sorry, it's number 7. I miscounted.
Looks like he's going to wait until he needs the menu again to see what it does exactly.
It looks like Double Down is heading over to the Storm Dragon here. Gonna take another dragon. This will be his first, actually. He's in Fanatic's Tower, I believe, right? That's where Storm Dragon was? Yeah. Yeah, so if you find something in the World of Balance auction house, you could buy it over and over again. You could buy $10,000 Ragnaroks if you're lucky enough to find them.
So remind me, what are our requirements right now to get Final Kefka?
We need to get 9 pieces of magic, and we need to recruit 6 characters. So the characters are kind of sparse here, as we had mentioned. They are only at the end of the floating continent, or at Kefka at Narsh, or at Fanatic's Tower, or at the Ancient Castle. And where did Hefe get? Oh, you got Mog at the Colon Janin. So.
And he's going to be just one more Esper away after this Cave on the Belt check.
Yep, so C-Dude pointing out in the chat, it looks like Hefe is in the lead. Well, Ficta has 9 pieces of magic and 5 characters. Unfortunately, that is a ghost sprite at Esper Mountain, so that means he has to do the floating continent in order to get Edgar. That's awful.
But it looks like he's opting to do... Auction house, or...
Yep, meanwhile, Double Down gets his 5th character here at the bottom of the Fanatic's Tower with Shadow. Yeah, Hefe will have Esper number 8 right here after he defeats this particular boss, Ultros. There it is. If you're watching the runners' individual streams, remember the race is like 30 seconds behind, which always screws me up as I'm trying to track it. Ficta heading into Owzer's mansion, of course not knowing that this is not where a character is. So Ficta is going to last location his character, unfortunately, at the floating continent, which I would have too if I was in his shoes, if I ran into Espers like he did. Because remember, the floating continent, the first part of it, you need to do 3 encounters and 2 bosses. Then you have to walk all the way through it, defeat a Magimaster in this particular seed, and then walk to the end and defeat the boss at the end to finally get your character. So it's kind of rough for Ficta, and the seed was pretty linear in terms of character progression. Nobody War grabbing Magicite number 8 from the Shady Dude in the woods, so he's at 5 and 8. So yeah, even though Ficta looks like he's got Espergo mode, he is a long way away from getting his 6th character here.
What would you say the minimum amount of time it takes you from jumping off the airship to finishing Floating Continent is?
Ooh, I don't know. I know we have spreadsheets of timing those sort of things, but
my guess would be 7 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, something in that range. It's kind of like I guess I would equate it to like being in Kefka's Tower almost, right? Because you have to fight how many bosses? 1, 2. You have to fight 5 bosses in Kefka's Tower. In Floating Continent, you have to fight 5 enemy battles and 3 bosses, right? So, and we do see in the little hidey hole that Terra is actually in the Umaro spot. So we found Umaro somewhere. That would unlock Terra. The Yeti is nowhere to be seen, though. Yeah, it's too late for that 1 experience egg. He would have liked to have seen it earlier.
Double Down, taking note of the Esper there in the Cave on the Belt, deciding to just reset and skip that.
Yep, and there is Celeste at the Lone Wolf check. So actually, Hefe is going to get 9 characters before he gets 9 Espers here. If he decides to go through with Kefka at Narsh, and if you're all the way up here, you probably should.
That does give him, though, another quick check where he could potentially get an Esper.
Right, because Celeste opens up 5 different checks the Opera House in the World of Balance, which has the fixed encounter rats up in the rafters, and then the boss. Has the prisoner cell in South Figaro, which is a quote-unquote free check. Basically, you don't have to fight any fights to go do it. And opens up the Magitech Factory, which is a 3-part check. The first 2 parts are only Esper or item as the reward. So that's, if I were him, I would head first to the prisoner check and then to the Magitech Factory, because one of those 2 is probably going to get you what you need. Victor grabbing Magicite number 10 there at Owser's Mansion. Double Down has deduced that his character is at the end of Floating Continent, so that's why he reset out of that Esper there. Oh, Hefe unfortunately getting run into by the soldiers. Join our Discord and check out our website, ff6wc.com, if you're enjoying what you're watching and want to play one of these on your own.
There's actually some really great resources there too. When I first got started doing running this randomizer a couple weeks ago, and there's a Moogle's First Seed up that gives you a video walkthrough of what all the checks are, kind of how to approach the randomizer and try kind of get you started if you're really new to this, like like I was a couple weeks ago, where I love playing this game as a kid. I love revisiting it. But this, FF6 Worlds Collide really adds a lot more playability to the game. You can just get a lot more out of it than you can just playing vanilla, in my opinion.
Alright, I must have screwed up somewhere along the way on Double Down's Magicite counter. He's actually at 9 Magicites, so that's why he noped out of that. Yeah, Floating Continent 1 is an Esper. Floating Continent 2 was... I think it was another Esper, but I don't remember. It's not a character, obviously. And the third one is a character. As we had mentioned earlier, Ficta is going to run into Magimaster. We know that for a fact. And someone pointed out in chat, I think it was Falcon Hit, that there is no Cyan in this party with GP Reigns. So it'll be interesting to see how Ficta handles this. Because remember, you need non-elemental damage, you need defense ignoring damage, or you need just a prayer, I guess. Spicy chicken for Hefe. If you have your emotes, if you are a subscriber of the Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide Twitch, you can spam them in the chat now. I give you permission, even though this is not my channel. Simultaneous Rexall fights here.
And Ficta is just a little bit ahead.
That's Nobody War picking up, I believe, Magicite number 9, and has to go to the throne for number 10. But will find his Go mode at Ancient Castle, so it'll be interesting to see who gets their Go mode first. Nobody War, who has to walk down to Ancient Castle, or Hefe, who has to do one of either Celeste's checks or I think he bought the Zen Thief already, right? So he doesn't really have a quick and dirty, easy way to get another Esper. No, he bought the Zen Thief. Flying pasta here for Ficta. And yeah, Blaster is probably my least favorite ability that Poltergeist does. Merton also is kind of annoying too, because he heals himself and damages you. Who is your least favorite boss to run into, peeps, in the chat? Let me know. Chuck's up. I can't speak anymore. Who is your least favorite boss to run into?
I would say Magi Master.
Yeah.
Poltergeist can be annoying, especially early on.
But yeah, Magi Master is definitely difficult. I find that there are more ways to deal with Magi Master though than there are to deal with Poltergeist. Poltergeist is very high physical and magical defense. He has one glaring weakness though. If you have the stop spell, it's pretty free. As there you see Hefe recruiting character number 9. He has unlocked his Kefka Tower skip. However, since he does not have Magicite number 9, he actually can't go fight the final boss of the game. So he is not yet in go mode, whereas Nobody War finds Setzer down in the basement of a dusty old castle, and that is his go mode. Yeah, so Ficta doing the vanilla speedrun strat of confusing Katana Soul, and Katana Soul will use the Slayer Edge ability on himself. He's not actually susceptible to instant death when you cast it, but when he casts it on himself, yeah, it's a bit of a problem. Nobody War deciding that the red dragon needs to die here, and that's dragon number 3 down for him.
And Ficta and Double Down both on the floating continent right now. Ficta seems to just be about 30 seconds ahead or so, maybe less.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think floating continent is probably 7 to 10 minutes or so. Probably start to back, maybe a little longer. And let's see how he deals with Magi Master.
Let's see what Hefe's got.
And there it is.
Magicite.
All right, so his final Kefka is unlocked at 1:14:15. So now it's just a race to the outside world between Nobody War and Hefe. But Hefe is going to be able to actually fly right past that first boss and all of the walking in Kefka's tower because of his statue skip. One of his characters is level 54. So I don't think Kefka's tower is going to be much of a problem for him. Ficta is using Meteor. So Meteor is actually a non-elemental spell. So he's pulling out some Meteor strats, which you normally don't see because it costs a lot of MP and its damage is okay on it. But again, non-elemental is what you need for Magi Master because he will nullify 6 out of the 8 elements and absorb the 7th. Let's see how Double Down decides to handle this, also using Meteor as well.
And Hefe setting up his party right now for the tower.
Welcome, the OG Speed Gaming, for your raid. Have a seat at the table in the back. It's the only way we can accommodate 51 of you. Your server will be with you momentarily. We are serving up some Worlds Collide as Hefe and Nobody War in Kefka's Tower at around the same time, 1:15:40. But Hefe with that skip is all the way at the statues, whereas Nobody War unfortunately has to do the long walk through the tower.
Hefe opting to take the middle route first.
Yeah, so question about the skip. So in the skip, the second party, the party in the middle, has to fight 2 bosses, the Guardian spot and the Poltergeist spot. The party on the left has to fight the Doom spot, and the party on the right has to fight the Goddess spot. So what most runners normally do is they overload their middle party with their 2 strongest characters, or they have 2 of their 4 final party in the middle, and they have their other 1 apiece on the side. That's another Magicite there for Double Down. I believe he's on 10? No, he's on 11, because I missed the one at the beginning of the floating continent. Blinking, you missed it. That was, what, number 128?
Yep.
And we have a dabbing Yeti for Nobody War in the Guardian spot. I think Nobody War must have just had more people that knew the Meteor spell, and that's why that fight went quicker for him.
And Hefe got the piranha at the middle statue.
Yep, my favorite punk band, Rizopus and the Piranhas. So in vanilla, this is usually a bathroom break until you hear a musical cue. But in Worlds Collide, we've actually shortened the fight. Rizopus will appear between 5 and 55 seconds after the start of the fight. I find that I feel it's always towards the 55 and not the 5.
Yep.
So Ficta actually unlocks his Kefka Tower skip because that's Esper number 12 for him. Counting the one at the beginning of the floating continent and the one in the middle of the floating continent. So he will also have skip once he is done with this last fight, and he will get his Edgar. We need a dabbing Yeti emote? Well, I hate to be that actually guy. If you are subscribed to Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide on Twitch, we do have a dabbing Yeti emote. And there it is. Thank you to Jones for those emotes, by the way. Yeah, so how I usually orient my party in Kefka's Tower is I make sure that each of the parties can deal with whatever the toughest boss is in the game that's left. We've already fought Poltergeist, Magimaster, Air Force, Chatternook, Three Stooges. So I would think that Goddess or Doomgaze are the two toughest left. For Goddess, you want somebody that could do physical damage or fire or ice damage, not lightning damage. Atma is also a candidate for one of the strongest bosses left in the game. And for Doomgaze, you want Pearl or Fire damage. Have we found Doomgaze in the seed yet? I don't remember.
I haven't seen a Doomgaze yet.
Alright, it looks like Ficta's stream is having some technical difficulties here. We're going to try and get him back when we can. Oh no! Oh my god. So Ficta's PC actually crashed. Which means he's going to have to fight Magi Master again. Oh my god.
Oh,
that's awful. Blue screen of death 1. Our runner 0. Ouch. Meanwhile, Atma using Quake. Oh boy. Yeah, so Atma will absorb all of the non-regular elements like earth and wind and basically wind is the one you need to know because Merton will not work on Atma. As you see, it just healed Atma. So Hefe, who's been using Merton strats for a majority of the latter half of the game, is going to have to come up with a different strategy here. So that's what he's doing, and he's going to use the Bahamut summon, which is non-elemental and deals a ton of damage. So hopefully this will kill Atma.
Yeah, I think he's got it here. Oh, maybe not.
Well, he's still got 1 or 2 more turns. I would think about either cracking your shield now or get one of your other characters up, because some of these attacks will deal split damage. So if you have more than one party member alive, it deals half damage to everybody. And here's Grand Train. So he's got 4,000 HP. He should be fine. Yeah, Grand Train is a devastating spell, but he'll be fine with that large amount of HP.
There it is.
Nice job. Excellent. So Hefe gets past the Atma spot.
And Nobody War is taking on number 128 right now.
Double Down gets his 12th Magicite, so he gets the skip, because he went back to the Cave on the Veldt there after he got his 6th character. And let's see what the boss is on the left-hand side. And the answer is not past the duchy on the left-hand side.
I wish it was.
It'll be a hell of a lot easier to fight than whatever this is. Oh, and it's Opera House Ultros.
Maybe not.
Yeah, this shouldn't last too long.
No.
Well, here comes the Merton, and Ultros is weak to fire, so this is going to hurt a lot. I hope Mog has some form of defense. No, he does not.
No.
A sacrificial lamb for the good of the cause.
He's just taking one for the team.
So Hefe deciding to jump with Celeste so that she's up in the air when this Merton hits. And it's a 122.50 for double down, getting into his skip. Did Ficta DC? Unfortunately, his PC after after destroying Magimaster said, "Nope, we're gonna have to crash on you." So we'll see if we can get him back at some point if his PC allows it. That is, but in the race room, he has not forfeited yet, so he still wants to continue pending PC things. So 123.30 is when Hefe steps on the switches. That is a just shy of 8-minute Kefka's Tower with the skip and the ginormous levels that he had, even after swatting at Big Brother Atma. So that's a pretty good time for doing that. So it tells you about how much the skip is worth here, because Nobody War and Hefe went in at basically the same time, and Nobody War still has 2 more bosses to defeat. This one here, the Ultros, will be a pushover. The other one on the other side, Atma, will be a little bit more difficult. Double Down taking out the Inferno spot, which is actually Inferno at home. Funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah, every once in a while you do get those bosses in their natural locations.
Well, it's kind of French vanilla, because number 128 is like the palette swap of Inferno, right?
Right, yeah.
It's like, wait a minute.
Which both of them, early on in a seed, if you run into one of those guys, they're not very fun.
No. So Hefe in the final battle here, we'll talk about it a little bit. There are 3 parts there's 4 tiers of this battle. This is tier number 1. There's 3 parts. There's a head and 2 arms. The head is weak to fire. The arm that's closest to us, the right arm, is actually weak to wind and instant death. That's why Merton is hitting them slightly harder than the balled fist. And our runners want to leave the balled fist alive for last, because if we leave the head for last, he'll death counter with Quake. And if the long arm is left for last, he will death counter with up to 3 instances of Shockwave.
X-Zone just missed right there on the long arm.
Yep, so Hefe is casting Float on himself in preparation that he's probably going to proc a Quake here, unless he's very careful. So, smart heads-up play there by Hefe. That is, however, the head down with that blow from the Illumina, so now he only has to worry about the other 2 parts, and he's going to focus down that other arm to avoid the death counters, and away he is on the first tier. Very nice heads-up plays here from Hefe with his Merton strats. That Illumina doing over 9,000 damage with a swing and 8,500 with a proc. That's a real, that's a real mean thing.
That's exactly how you want that first phase to go.
Alright, so phase 2 is 4 different parts. There's that tiger head coming into view right there. Weak to ice, and will cast all sorts of nasty spells on you, including a freeze to your party, which means you don't move unless you fire yourself, which thankfully we have Merton to cast. We'll also cast Doom Tusk, which will turn one of your characters into a zombie, and has other just awful, awful spells that you want to avoid. There is... Yep, right out the gate with the Imp. Right out the gate with the Imp. There's that blue guy there. His name is Hit. He does only physical damage and will death counter with 10 physical hits. There's Magic in the back, which is the guy pointing to the left of your screen. He only casts magic, but hilariously can be muted, so that's why you see Siren coming out here to nullify magic. And then there is Tools underneath the cloak in the middle, is susceptible to instant death and weak to lightning. We'll cast sort of those techie type of spells like Tech Laser and things that, say, Air Force or Guardian would do.
It looks like X-Zone missing again on the insta-death susceptible part, so he might just have to burn it down.
Yeah, well, Merton will hurt everything on the screen. You want to be a little careful when using Merton, only because Magic will death counter with may death counter with quarter, which will, as it says, take your HP down to a quarter of what it is currently. And then that, in concert with 10 hits, could potentially be a wipe or very deadly. Unfortunately, nobody wore taking a reset on Atma here for the first try. We'll see if the second time's a charm.
Still missing the instant death attempt on the X-Zone. Yeah, and Merton, unlike other magic spells, the damage is not split, right? Like if you were to cast Fire 3 on everything, then it splits the damage up, but with Merton or Meteor, it's just straight damage to everything.
Yep, Merton doesn't deal split damage because it attacks everything. Doesn't matter if there's 1 or 15. Well, there's no 15, but doesn't matter if there's 1 or 5, right? Unfortunately, I've gotten word that Ficta has not been able to get his PC sorted, so he is going to take a forfeit from the race. I don't blame him at this point with your PC crashing after you've grinded out a fight with Magimaster only to get your last piece of progression at the end of a floating continent that you never wanted to go to in the first place, the last location did. I would also take a forfeit there, too.
Yeah, that's rough.
So, GG to Ficta. Make sure you drop him a follow. It's twitch.tv/Ficta with 2 H's. And tier number 2 is down for Hefe after surviving those 10 hits. Yeah, X-Zone is, as a spell, is one of the least accurate spells. It has a accuracy of 85, whatever that means. So for reference, normal spells have an accuracy of 150. So it's it's about a little bit more than half as accurate as most spells. Not very fun. So here's tier 3. The girl in the back will absorb all elements and has 9,999 HP. Will both heal and revive the bottom Sleep. Sleep has 40,000 HP and will start countering with things when he gets under 10,000 HP with a AoE attack called Meteo. It is also not that accurate, but it's more accurate than X-Zone is, apparently. And also Train, which will blind and mute your entire party. And in Worlds Collide, the evade bug is not a thing. We fixed the glitch. So, the evade bug being fixed means that blind actually hurts.
And there he goes with Golem. In preparation for calmness.
Yeah, so Golem will eat physical attacks for the amount of damage that the caster has. And Sleep will death counter with a physical attack called Calmness. So, with him casting Golem, that means that this physical attack called Calmness will not go through to his party member. So he's casting it in preparation there. As we see, Nobody War at 131 and change, stepping on the statues. So he had a slightly more difficult time with Atma, but just for reference, that was a 15.5-minute Kefka's Tower without the skip. So about twice as long without the skip than with the skip. Cyan's got a death counter of 6 above his head. Excellent use of weight tricking here by Hefe, waiting within a menu while animations are going off so that the timers and ATB bars and battle bars don't fill up. So that's a great skill for anyone to learn. I try to do that in my practice runs all the time. But now we're at Final Kefka, and this is the 4th tier of the battle, as Double Down is right on the heels of Nobody War at 132 on the dot for his Kefka fight. Kefka has slightly higher than 60,000 HP. When he gets under 30,000 HP, we'll start countering your attacks with things like Hyperdrive and Havoc Wing, the most powerful physical attack in the game. We'll cast Fallen 1 after the first turn if you don't get below that threshold, which will basically take all of your characters to 1 HP. So he's got to have some cure spells in order to mitigate that. And when Kefka gets under 10,000 HP, he might cast Ultima as a counter, so we got to be careful for that. He does have one part of his attack script where he does not counter when he charges for his ultimate quote-unquote ability called Goner. It looks super cool and anime and all that stuff, but it actually doesn't do as much damage because it takes magic defense into consideration. So that's, I think, when Hefe will go all out there. Mega Elixir from the Magi Master fight will come in handy here to heal up his party to full HP. Beefy swings from Locke there. So let's talk about Morph really quick, because he's using Morph here. Morph will actually double the amount of damage that you do, whether it's physical or magic. So you're going to see this Merton will probably hit for really high amounts of damage compared to the normal cast of Merton. It does twice as much, in fact. So runners will save Morph for, you know, sort of an endgame thing.
Yeah, it looks like what he did there too is wait until he was just about to push Kefka into that second part of the fight and have everyone queued up, right? So then right now he can just unleash every attack to make sure he kills Kefka before he can do anything again.
And that's it. GG's for Hefe with the Crack Pow. 134.03 is his time. Woo! Go tell him congratulations there. GG's to Hefe. We will see if we can get him in for an interview. I have to get his Discord handles and all that. Let's set him to done, and we'll use Double Down's audio here. In the meantime, Chucks up.
Yeah.
Why don't you? Oh, we do have Hefe here. Sorry, I was just about to. I was about to see if I can grab him in here. So let's pull Hefe in here and we'll give him a little interview. Hefe, congratulations on your first place on stream victory. Your mic is muted, but GG's.
Hello, how's it going?
Yo. So let's talk about this seed. What are your thoughts of what we had to witness here?
Well, I'm pretty sure I ran a different route than everybody else, just because I literally wanted to do the memes. I mean, opening with Fanatics Tower, why?
Well, you had Super Balls. That's a good enough reason to do Fanatics Tower, and you knew that there was a character there, so why not?
That was good logic in my mind. Yeah, I just, then I did floating I did a bunch of checks that I generally don't want to do, just trying to see the other side of a seed, and it ended up working out well, apparently.
Yeah, unfortunately, for people that hate long, arduous checks, this was not their seed, because you were sort of gated at Fanatics Tower in order to get Shadow, and then Floating Continent number 3 in order to get Edgar, and then all the way down to Ancient Castle to get Setzer. That was sort of the path through this seed, because Realms 2 checks led to dead ends at Kefka and Narsh, so it was sort of a, this is my worst nightmare of the seed. I hate doing these long checks. So
memes for days, and I picked this day of all days to do a meme seed.
Lots of dead checks as well, especially early on. So talk to us about your thought process when you run into a lot of dead checks early. Are you happy because you're getting a lot of items, or are you not happy because you're not getting any progression?
I'm not happy because I'm not getting progression. I am notoriously a huge fan of no free progression. Like, I like to do a check, get a reward. Do a check, get a reward. However, it did work out okay this time because I did end up with Merton protection, and that was my offense for most of the seed. So it ended up working out.
Yeah, so you had a couple of interesting fights. There was the Air Force fight at the very beginning, which you had two of your characters survive, one of them barely surviving. I think there was double-digit HP on them.
Oh, we
And
had that. We were good.
the glass cannon, and then Magimaster with the GP range strats. So when you ran into Magimaster, you thinking reset, or you're already at floating continent, right? There's no way you're stopping now.
I'm halfway through the floating continent. There's no turning back. You throw gold at your problems and see if it goes away or not. I mean, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I'm going to get through this or I'm not, and I'm just going to go for it. I mean, I'm going to hit them with a Merton to get started because, first attack goes through, and then we just threw money at our problems, and it happened to work.
It's funny. I questioned the looking in the monster in a box for Katana Soul because I knew that an offering wasn't really going to help your setup with Merton, but then it actually did help because you got all that gold to throw at Magimaster.
Well, gold was really what I was looking for more than the offering because I figured the offering wouldn't help. I was actually looking for Gigantos. I actually wanted some EXP.
Mm-hmm.
But, whenever I found Katana Soul, I was like, hey, it's not all bad. I'm going to get a bunch of money out of this, so I'll take it. Maybe I'll find something to buy in the shops.
And you could sell that offering for those experience eggs that you saw in South Figaro.
Which I never went back for. I probably should have.
Yeah. So other than that, I just have my notes here, Merton, and you had a little bit, slightly shy of 8-minute Kefka's Tower with the skip. I guess you were happy seeing the double characters there on the Mog leg, or did you just want to get into the tower at that point?
I was looking for skip. I told myself before I started this seed that I wanted to do skip just because I don't... Sometimes it works out organically that you do skip on these, but I really wanted to try and do skip on this particular seed. And that's why I went to Kefka at Narsh, because if I just needed an Esper, I would have gone up World of Ruin and done Tritalk, which is either character or Esper, or character or item. No.
Esper item,
I'm
third
tired.
time's a charm.
Esper. Sorry, I hope y'all all enjoyed the Games Done Quick run this morning, because I did, and I was awake for it, and I'm still awake, so...
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, that's why. So I would have gone up there if I just wanted an Esper. But I decided to look for a character. I figured, getting Mog has to lead to another progression chain, or there's at least an 80% chance he's not the end of the chain. So I figured there would be a character at the Mog spot, which there was. And then seeing the other one at Kefka at Narsh, I was like, I gotta do it.
Yep.
So it just made sense.
Hey,
So-
Heavy. This is Chuck here.
Yeah, Chucks, you got any questions for Hefe? Because I think I got mine
Yeah.
all
Hey,
out.
that was a pleasure to watch, man. That was
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I wanted you to speak a little more on just the, general how you kind of approach a seed, what kind of signals you see in the beginning, and kind of how you make decisions from there. Just maybe not with this seed in particular, but just in general, like what's your typical kind of way jumping into it?
Well, a seed like this, a lot of people don't think of doing fanatics first, especially, I think it's a great check to do first, if you're going to do it at all. And whenever I saw a character there, if you find something that's overpowered, be it rods, shields, super balls, get it out of the way. I mean, there was no progression at that point, so anything I ran into would probably die to one super ball, maybe two.
Are you
And
ever
if it
thinking
didn't, then
about... Sorry, go ahead.
Then I also had elemental shields, so if they didn't die to that, I could just break shields.
Or in a race like this, are you ever thinking about how do I differentiate my route from what the other guys are doing? How can I, do something distinct that they're not all
You
going
want
to
an
do
honest
the same
answer to
thing?
that?
Yeah.
It depends on who I'm racing.
Okay.
It depends on the other people that I'm racing skill level. Sometimes whenever I'm racing racers that generally historically are better than me, I might try and shake up things and do something that they wouldn't do, just to see if it gives me an edge. Because if I lose, what do I have to lose? You know, these people are better than me. If I win, then, you know, it pays off.
Right.
So whenever I race really good racers, sometimes I'm more pro risk,
Got
so
it.
to speak.
Yeah, and if you're racing someone you feel you're more skilled than, maybe you just go what would
I run my
seem like the
race.
more
I make
right.
them beat me at my race, you
And
know.
you're relying on, you know, your own abilities and speed to give you that edge.
Correct. And I don't want that to sound cocky because that's not what I mean, but
No, that's a very sound strategy.
you know, if I have an experience edge and a knowledge edge and, you know, just a general edge, then why do something crazy that could cost me the race? You
Right.
know?
So besides, you know, what the seed presents you in terms of how you're going to be dealing damage in the later stages, what is your favorite, let's say, weapon and relic combo if you can find it early and you're going to run with it?
Early game, I would like, as much as Boo's gonna hate this, give me a fixed dice offering.
Oh yeah.
Late game, I'm a big fan of Atma Weapon over Illumina if I have an offering. That's kind of controversial, kind of a hot take, but it is what it is for me. I prefer Atma offering over Illumina any day of the week.
Is that because you feel like it just is, you get through things faster that way?
Yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons. I mean, obviously, you don't have the evade with an Atma weapon. You don't have, you know, don't have procs with it. But if you're swinging it for 6-7K and you're swinging it 4 times, you know, damage is kind of king in this game. Defense kind of comes second. Another hot take, but if you kill something before it can kill you, you win.
No, I think that's fair. I'm not sure if you're watching this stream right now, but it looks like for second place right here, these guys are neck and neck.
Yes, they are very close.
Double Down might just, yeah, it looks like Double Down's just a little bit ahead.
Oh, they're using Merton strats too. I like it. I love Merton strats
And
too.
unfortunately, I'm not sure if you noticed, but Ficta had a technical error and
Yeah, he crashed.
yeah. It does look like Double Down though is gonna take it.
Yep, got a morph. Ooh, getting gonered.
Yeah, the race overall seemed pretty close for the most part. I mean, you definitely had a little bit of a lead early on in the Esper character count, but as soon as you were able to do that skip and we're jumping into the tower just a couple minutes ahead, Double Down, and or sorry, I think it was Nobody War actually, and you had the
I had the skip and they didn't.
Skip. That was, yeah, that looked like it was pretty much, you know, as long as you didn't run into any real bad luck. Double Down finishing at 145.32.
Congratulations, Double Down. Good job.
And just 10 seconds after that, Nobody War finishing at 145.42.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, I want to thank you guys for commentating and tracking and doing all the fun stuff that y'all do, and everybody behind the scenes who makes this possible.
I don't know where Schwartz went. He just or Schwantz. He just disappeared on us. But yeah, this is actually my first time commentating, and I didn't even know I was going to do it until about 15 minutes before the stream. So it was fun. You know, I had a good time. I hope.
Well, welcome to the commentary team.
Thanks. Yeah, I hope everyone could hear me okay, and you guys all enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to watch it back and see what you said about me. See if we're still friends.
Yeah, I know we're still friends.
Okay.
I mean, cool. I think I did. I get 10 minutes on you on that draft seed yesterday.
I think so. Yeah, probably. I ran it wrong.
That
I
was
knew
a
as I was doing it, I ran it wrong.
Yeah, that was a fun one though. That thing,
Yeah, it was.
that was a jet seed for sure if you found the right stuff.
Hmm. Swan said his internet dropped. He said he'd be right back.
Okay, so yeah, we'll chit chat for a little bit, waiting for him to come back. I'm not sure if these other guys want to jump in here and talk about their run a little bit.
Yeah, I don't.
Double down.
If you can invite them, we can interview them.
Let me bring him in here and we'll talk to him. Let me just. I think I can invite to this. Oh, there's Ficta. Okay. Yeah, let me jump in the other Discord and grab him.
It's double down, right?
Nobody wore.
Hey, we got double down.
Yo,
Hey guys, how's it going?
good.
How you doing, double down? How was your seed?
So much fun. That was not my favorite seat ever. We'll say that.
Why not? I had a great time with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you had what, about 11 minutes less of a great time than I had at it. I felt like I was just wandering around for the first half hour looking for something, anything for offense, and then another 15 minutes of looking for offense, and then I spent a bunch of time looking for characters because they were hidden in the stupidest places. So it took me way too long to even think about checking fanatics. And yeah, what a great seed.
I did fanatics first. Opening check.
You're a smart man, Hefe.
I'm not a smart man. That was not the right play. It just happened to be the right play.
Well, he found the super balls, which really is what allowed him to do that. But
Oh, wait, hold on. hold on. There were super balls, you're saying?
Yes, sir. There were super balls.
All right, let's do a quick do-over. Let's have a start over on this one. You let me know where the super balls are. I think we can do this a little more fairly if we all have super balls.
Yep, I bought super balls, rushed the tower, killed the dragon, killed the Stooges at the top, which is not a good ball fight, but it ended up working out.
Yeah, man. If I had super balls, I think you're going to the tower right away makes perfect sense. I had I think I had an Aura Lance. I had an Aura Lance. That's what I was using to beat early bosses, and guess how that was going.
Well, I had to search them out. I mean, they didn't just like come organically. I mean, they were hidden pretty good.
yeah, I don't remember. Were they in Albrook?
No, the end of the Serpent Trench, World of Ruin, which whatever that town's name is. I'm terrible with town names.
Yeah,
One at the top of the snake thing in the World of Ruin.
That is...
Wouldn't have even thought to look for Ikea for super balls. I was looking around for weapons or obviously regs or atmas or anything like that. I had the 2 experience eggs right away, and I thought, okay, perfect. I just need something to go with these experience eggs, and something never really showed up until getting Merton on like Esper's 11 and 12 or something like that. And
oh wow,
yeah, it was a it was a drag.
Yeah, there were a lot of dead checks for all you guys though early on. Like it was kind of a drag for a little bit, and then it seemed like Fanatics Tower, and then top of Narsh with Kefka, and there was one other place too. Where did you guys find Edgar?
He was in
End of the floating continent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Continent.
So Flowing Continent, which is like no one wants to do that first, it seemed like, but
I did.
Someone. Yeah, you did. You did it.
Yeah.
Long before everyone else.
See, I ended up with 9 characters and 9 espers.
And that extra character, it was the extra character, right, that gave you the skip?
Yeah, it was it's 6-9 for the regular, and the other Double Down got skipped through espers, so he got 12 espers. Took me a while to find my last esper. Well, not a while, but the Celis dungeon check.
I'm assuming you got a bunch of characters from what, Ancient Castle or Engine Room?
Ancient Castle, and then that was Setzer, who led to Mog, who led me up the tower to Celis and Realm. Or
Gosh
led me
darn
up
it!
Narsh.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we're us peasants are running around with 8 espers, having to at the 55-minute mark start floating continent like a bunch of
Yeah, I don't
losers.
think I got my 5th character until a good 45 minutes in.
Ouch.
Yeah, did anyone else have the skip? Or was it just...
I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I was going to go to the auction house and get 2 more espers, but I was already, like, over an hour, and, like, I got to get in there.
Spoiler alert, there was only
Yeah.
one there.
Hefe decided to throw money at everything in his way, including the auction.
Correct.
Nice.
Well, it must have been nice to have something to spend your money on. I think I walked to Kefka's tower with 95 grand, and hoping I could bribe a couple bosses for some easy wins, and they weren't
Yeah, I was
taking
still
it,
throwing
apparently.
money at him at the end there, so...
Yep, same here.
Yeah, I replaced Cyan with Shadow because they had morph, and then immediately I was like, wait, that was the only thing I was using my gold on. I'm an idiot, but my pride wouldn't let me change my mind, so we stuck with Shadow, and it was useless.
So I'm not sure what the schedule is. Do you guys know if there's another race scheduled for tonight?
Not for
Or is this
tonight.
it?
I think there's one in the works for tomorrow, maybe on the Worlds Collide channel, actually.
Okay. Well, yeah, you guys, thanks for watching, everyone. I'm actually going to have to jet out of here in a second, but
Me too.
I had a lot of fun watching this run and getting, this is the first time I think I've actually sat down and watched a quad stream of Worlds Collide and tried to commentate it at the same time. So I hope it wasn't too painful for everyone who was listening to have to endure that. But it was a lot of fun, and this community is awesome. Since I started in it, not long ago, like, everyone's been super helpful and super friendly and encouraging, and it's really one of those things where, like, even though it is kind of a competitive type of an environment, everyone really seems to be willing to share their knowledge and strategies and everything with the new guys and stuff. So I really appreciate that, and it's been a lot of fun. I'm hoping I can jump in and maybe be one of the racers in one of these next rounds coming up.
Absolutely, we'd love to have you.
So yeah, you guys check out the website. It should be linked here, but for those of you who don't see it, it's ff6wc.com. There's links there to the Discord. You can use the seed generator there to generate your own seeds. You can do the Moogle's first seed, which comes with an introductory video guide that will just walk you through a seed. You can just play side by side and kind of figure out how gating works, how scaling works, how all the randomization flags work. That's a great place to start, and then jump in the Discord, talk to people in the community. The wiki's right there too, which has all sorts of guides, all the way from maps of the treasure locations. You got all the different boss guides, you got rages, lores, everything, all the resources you need to kind of figure out.
Good.
Yeah, to kind of
Yes.
figure out
Mm-hmm.
oh, nobody were getting some love there. But yeah, so it's a
They
great
still
community. There's
No,
great
there's just a
resources.
commentating going on
Oh, okay.
after the game. Just listening.
Well, I heard
Yeah,
you talking.
Thanks everyone for watching. We're gonna wrap it up, and we'll see you on the next race. Thanks for watching.
Have a good night.
Take care, everybody.
See you
GG.
guys.